Ooh, wee. Must be another mini Monday. I'm having a weird one. I was pretty much up all night, taking my dear missus to the airport. I did get a little bit of kip. Most of the way home, I just gave up, pulled over. Some business that wasn't open yet, and woke up once more. Once the sun was shining, and I'm kind of dazed and confused. But I remembered, it's Mini Monday, and my lady last night suggested that I offer up this little number for tomorrow, i.e. today, Mini Monday. Well, it's a Rough Rider. It looks like brass, but it is actually, maybe the scales are brass, but the spring and the blade are definitely steel. I tested them with a magnet, and aside from which I started sharpening, and the whatever brass coating is coming off there. Not very sharp yet, but it will, clean under your fingernails. Cool. I tried putting it through the hole in my ear, but that hasn't had anything through it in a decade, and so that didn't work. But I had fun. Even smaller than my... let me just show you the cold steel that I'm wearing on a chain around my neck. Still, for size comparison. Okay. I mean, this thing tiny. All right. So, shout out to Black Hawk Bushcraft. As I commented to him, ever since I think before I actually started posting on this channel, because before I started posting, I started thinking about posting, and I think that the thought occurred to me that I ought to make a video called In Praise of the Brisa Crafter. Now, I am in battery saver mode, and I don't know whether that's going to be a problem. Can't see a cable. Just keep going. I'll probably make it through. So, how I came across Mr. Blackhawk himself was that I recently acquired this BPS Aurora, and then I noticed that he had a video about this knife. So I thought, oh, well, let's see what he has to say. And he reviewed the knife, and he said that the handle's a bit small, and basically, any way you cut it, it's not a bushcraft knife. And, here's me. I just kind of got this thing out of the box the other day, just started using it. I'm like, wow, this thing's razor sharp. I started making some experimental video footage that was rubbish, and I deleted it. All that jazz, right? All excited. New knife syndrome. And here's this guy just, is kind of saying, starts out by saying, well, the blade's great, right? Blade is really cutty, does a nice high Scandi grind. Good VG10. But the handle. And I'm not a big fan of the handle either. It's too heavy. It's too G10. It's too slabby. It's a prime candidate for some mod. But I was finding the knife, I was actually very pleasantly surprised. I thought this would be too slim down here. But it sits on my massive knobby calluses there very nicely. And I was finding it really useful, good in all grip positions, and great whittling, and I started in a project there. And after a while, I thought, this reminds me of something. Oh, it reminds me somewhat of the Brisa Crafter. Let me go grab the Brisa Crafter. Do a little comparative study. I think we might have, a comparative study. Well, it's no comparison, pretty much. Got this thing out, and blammo. I'm like, well, oh, that was a pencil. It's just an absolutely awesome carving tool. 14C28N, which is a steel that seems to be maybe coming into its own now. People are recognizing that, oh, it's a budget steel, but it's a banger, right? And it's really thick. And this handle is just great. oh, it's just so good. You know, it's just enough of it there. And it's great. And the blade is great and great. Everything great except what came pretty seriously warped. You can't see it so well now because I have been compensating, but it came off to the, not like disastrous, but you can still see it there. You can see that warp, plain as day. And I have been grinding in here, and so grinding up and compensating little by little, Start out, you're like, wow, this thing looked great. Oh, cool, let me sharpen. After a while sharpening, you're like, hang on, this is weird. What's going on here? Oh, this thing is fucking warped. Oh, damn. Oh, wow. Okay, well, and so I never really went in and reground. Had this thing for much longer than I've had my Tormek or anything that I would want to, start some heavy grinding on. And at this point, it's good to go. Really awesome. And what I was up to was that I thought I might try and design some kind of chopper survival knife thing. So that was my first little sketch there. And then I went on to this, and then I wasn't liking the kind of wetty kukri style thing so much as something with a bit more of a, well, that's, triphasic grind, fuller, twine epoxy handle, integral construction, lanyard hole in the correct place, penetrating point, basically an isosceles triangle. This curvature here, not like your tracker knife, okay, that goes in and then up and then it breaks. Okay, this is a good design, I'm telling you. So, I went and found a piece of wood. And a really cool thing happened actually, because I'm like, well, how am I going to scale this drawing up so that I get a 10-inch blade? And lo and behold, this is actually about 10 centimeters. So, by putting some lines in and I was kind of able to somewhat faithfully recreate the part here in the flat, Now I can trace around this, or I can put bevels on it if I want or whatever. But that's kind of where I wanted to get to. I need to fill this crack as well. So I can feel it in my hand and see how I think it would work. Do I like this guard here? And okay, so if I choke up here, if I'm gonna want to choke up here, I don't want to put my cutting edge starting here like I drew it in there. I want to move it up a little further, that kind of thing. Yeah, and actually, I don't really even want to test curve on this right now, because I might do something stupid and mess it up. So let me find a piece of wood or a piece of something somewhere. Bear with me. It's just the first thing I found. Now, why would you want to carve something into something as beautiful as this? And also as deadly to an edge, right? As extremely well-seasoned hickory with some kind of synthetic varnish on it. Dogs. I keep thinking, well, I could turn a new pommel, I could this, I could that. Well, I could also just make a pointy stick right now. Okay. Now, chewed up bits can be tough, right? Because the grain is all bodged up. But I'm sure that from there you can probably feel a bit of difference, huh? Both of these have my edge on them now. This one is not nearly as refined, but the knife came straighter. And that for me is a big part of refining an edge. Yeah, it came pretty good on the grinds. Yeah, because a big part of it is, well, if this isn't straight, how is this going to be straight? How is this going to work on a flat stone straight so that you're catching the whole edge equally and so on and so forth? So there was a lot of labor to get this to as good as it is now. How that would compare to now to how it was out of the box, I can't really say. It's too long ago. But I think that the bevels are probably at a very similar angle because of the relative stock thickness. This one is going to appear lower, and I've Scandi-vexed this much like that, So, not bad for a comparative study. Just feels fucking cheesy. Excuse me, I've sworn twice in this video now. I'm too excited and too elated and too much coffee. But I think it must be, well, what's it going to be down to? I don't think it's really down to geometry so much at this point, edge geometry. That's my perception. The edge geometries are very similar. But this edge has a lot more backup from the stock thickness because all of that plays in, right? All of this extra material is supporting this edge. And the steel. And, VG10, I think it's actually a steel that I'm pretty fond of, in as much as I've got some knives in VG10 that I think are just awesome. But I think, maybe this is like the steel of the moment, the 14C28N, Maybe people are getting a little bored of the super steel thing so much. People are noticing that there are all these other steels that have been out there for a while that are that may be superior in certain applications, vastly superior even in certain applications, to the powder metallurgy fabadabadocious alternatives. So, what else can I say in praise of the Brisa Crafter? I could say something in praise of Brisa because I have couple of other knives from them, and they're really cool as well. I have the Brisa Nesmuk. Actually, that's just on the shelf. I never really used that knife. Keep meaning to regrind it because it's not really a Nesmuk. A Nesmuk should be thin and slicey, and the Brisa Nesmuk, so-called Nesmuk, has a Scandi grind. But it's nice. But the Brisa Big Muck, which is like a giant chopper Nesmuk hybrid thing, but Nesmuk because of the blade profile, right? Really nothing to do with the Nesmuk now, except something to do with the profile there, But it's a cool knife, the Big Muck. I have some videos on my channel with the Big Muck, if you'd like to see. Oh, and I have this Brisa Trapper as well. I took the scales off. It's around here somewhere, this little thing. I want to put an enclosed handle on it or something. Yeah, thanks for watching. I can recommend either of these knives. I think they're both good for the price. Black Hawk. Okay, I got to try and reproduce the conversation, right? Because I saw this Black Hawk bushcraft video, and he's saying, yeah, it's not a bushcraft knife. It's not really good for bushcrafting. And so I left a comment, uncharacteristically brief for me. Just said, it says EDC on the box. And he responded to me. He said his best guess was that would have been a misprint. And I thought that was so funny. I'm like, I love this guy. So then I wrote him a huge comment. And then he wrote back. And so I wrote him another one. And yeah, he invited me to, as it were, he said he'd like to see me doing a little review of this knife, so done and dusted. Thanks for watching.